Hi guys, welcome to today's Saturday family session. Today we are going to be celebrating International Women's Day, which is on Monday. And to do this, I thought today we would make some peg dolls of some inspiring women from around the world. So this is my little Frida Kahlo peg doll and a little one of Malala. So for today's craft, you will need some large pegs, so you can just get these at like the DIY store or like your normal just like craft shop. If you're struggling to get them, we have some in our packs from which we're giving away from our hub. You will need glue, fabric glue, PVA, or if you don't have that, double-sided tape is great as well. It makes it nice and easy. Some scissors, some felt tips or just colouring pens, a little bit of scrap cardboard. This is just off like a packet that came through the door. Some embroidery thread or some normal thread, preferably embroidery because it's nice and thick. Some paper doilies, this is optional, but they just add a nice little bit of texture. Some scrap tissue paper, any old colours, just anything you've got lying around, or it can be bits of packaging, things like sweeties and stuff came in. And some bits of scrap fabric. These can be little tiny pieces because we don't need too much today. So, to get started, you need to choose who you're going to make. So there's so many amazing, inspiring women you could think of. So today I'm going to show you how to make Frida Kahlo because she was an amazing artist, and she's really fun to make because she's got all these wonderful colourful clothing and a little flowery headband. So do your research and tell us who you're thinking of making because we'd love to know. So to get started, get your peg, and we're going to start off by making a wee face on our peg. So I'm just going to get a black felt tip pen. Black Sharpie works great, or if you just got normal felt tips, just anything you've got lying about. And I'm just going to draw a little face. So just on one side of your peg. So I'm going to draw two little eyes and eyebrows, and then I'm going to draw a little mouth as well. I'm just going to change colour. There we go, and maybe some wee pink cheeks. There we go. You don't need to have to put too much detail into the face, but keep it quite simple just so that you can see it's a wee face. So next we're going to pick the colour of fabric that we want to go round and underneath. So we're going to make her skirt. So to do that, I am going to pick, I really like this little scrap of stripy fabric that I've got left over. So you don't need very much at all. You're just going to measure it on your peg and wrap it round like that, and then you can just cut the fabric to the width that you need. So I'm just going to say about, let's have a look about this. Ooh. There we go. So you can see it's very small wee bit of fabric, and then we want to attach it to our body. So to do that, I'm just going to get my double-sided tape and just take a strip off and just wind it round like this, and then again all the way up the peg to just below the shoulders. just rip it off each time like that. So that should probably be enough actually. Don't need too much more. So then, I'm just going to save that a little bit on the side for later. You're just going to peel off the second side of the double-sided tape. Or if it's glue you're using, which also works perfectly, then just glue all over this part of your peg and then just leave it for a couple of minutes till it gets a bit tacky, so that then we can stick the fabric on. That way your fabric won't be sliding about all over the place when you try to put it on your peg, okay? Here we go. So I'm just going to pop this. Choose which colours you want to show at the front. So you can see here I've got some nice pink and blue stripes, so I think we're going to go the same again. So just do that. And then you're just going to wind your fabric round like so, and then just tuck one bit under the other. So there we go, we've almost got a dress. So I want to add another little colour on top, so I think I'm going to choose some yellow ribbon to add a nice colour. So this is just, I think, a box of chocolates came with a ribbon around it, so I've just saved this ribbon. And we're just going to rip up some more tape and pop it over the fabric this time and add a little yellow top. So just, again, take off the extra that you don't need and take off the second layer, and you're left with this sticky surface. And then we're just going to wrap our ribbon around that. There we go. So there we go. So now we've got a little top and a skirt sort of thing going on. So Frida famously wore amazing, big, wonderful skirts, and so to get it looking a bit more like this, that's what we're going to add. So I'm going to get some felt, and I'm going to use my double-sided tape and just roughly draw a half circle, like so, round the tape, okay? And then I'm going to cut out around this half circle. And then I'm going to cut across like so. So we end up with a shape that's sort of a half circle but with a bit of a triangle. So I don't quite know what you'd call that shape, but you can see there you've got your half circle and then a sort of triangular bit. And then we're going to cut a little waist bit in the top here, which will just be another circle. And then we're going to have a look, see how it looks on our doll. So just put the smaller circle, like you can see there, up against the peg doll, and then wind this round. So there we go, you can see we've got our beautiful circular skirt coming to form. So then we're just going to trim off a couple of the end bits so that we, just however you want it to sit, right? Okay. So actually I'm going to make it these a little bit sharper angle. And then, once again, we're going to get our double-sided tape, and we're just going to put it round the back this time, and then just at the little top bits of the skirt. So just add that there. Just onto the back we've added a little bit of tape, and then we're going to pop our skirt on. Just make sure you're adding it sort of directly from behind the face, so you can see there. Okay, and then we're going to just hold that with our hands so you can see, and I'm just going to add a little bit of sticky tape in here and in here. And always cut it down to be a bit neater if you want. So there we go. We've almost got a dressed peg doll, but I think our shoulders look a bit cold, don't they? So we're going to add a little shawl. So for this, I'm just getting another piece of scrap fabric and just going to cut it into a strip. And this is the edge of the fabric, so you can see here you've got a little bit of fraying. So I think I'm going to use this on my shawl because it makes it kind of look like a nice fluffy edge, doesn't it? So I might cut it a little bit thinner. I forget how small these pegs are. We don't want her disappearing completely beneath too many layers of fabric. So there we go. So we've just got this nice thin strip. Once again, we're going to get our double-sided tape or your glue, and you're just going to add a bit behind the back of the shoulders. So here's the front, and turn it around and just to the back here. I'm just going to add there. And we're going to get our strip of fabric and put it like so. So it almost looks like she's got arms coming out, yeah? And then we're going to cross the bits over at the front so we've got a little shawl, okay? And then again, you can just secure it, or you can leave it if you're wanting to play and change clothes, then you can just leave it open and it can come off really easily. So I'm just going to pop that there, a bit of sticky. And another bit. Ooh. So now we have almost a fully dressed doll, but we need some hair. So I am going to take our embroidery thread and some more double-sided tape and we're going to attach this over the top of the head. You can also do this with glue, so you just paint glue over the top here, okay? So there we go. So you can just cover the whole head with some double-sided tape. There we go. So then with our embroidery thread, I'm going to see where I think her parting would be, and I'm just going to pop a bit of thread like so. So that's the first bit of hair, and then we're just going to keep winding it round and winding it round. So I'm going to cut it off down here just so you've got a manageable amount to work with. And we're going to wind it round the back of her head, just making sure it's stuck down the whole way. and then back to here, and then wind it back on itself and back down. So there we go. And then back round. And this way you're starting to layer up her hair, okay? So we'll do that again. And then just keep going back round. So making sure it's nice and stuck down each time. And there we go, and then just wind it at the back, so you almost can create like a little bun at the back, and then just trim off your thread when you're happy. You could, of course, you could plait it down the back or give her a ponytail if you want. I'm just going to do a nice simple hair, all sort of pinned up in a bun. Okay, so there we go, so there we've got some hair. Yeah, so we then need to make Frida's headband. So let's have a look. I'm going to get a really thin little piece of paper. So just going to get a tiny little strip of paper like this. Careful when you're cutting it with the scissors on your fingers. Voila, okay. And again, we're going to get some glue this time and some tissue paper. So we're just going to measure that this fits around her head properly. Yep, that looks good. And we're going to start by getting the tissue paper, taking off tiny little pieces, and we're going to roll them up and turn them into little tiny flowers. So all you need to do that is just roll it in your fingers and sort of squeeze it round till you get little bunches of tissue paper like this. Can you see? So I'm going to have a purple flower, that's one. Remember, because her head's really small, we just need to keep them nice and tiny. So then I'm going to have a yellow one. I'm just rolling it in my fingers and then just spinning it round, okay, to create these tiny little flowers. So that's a yellow one. And we'll have a little orange one, I think. Oh yeah, orange will look nice. So once again, just doing the same thing, just rolling it in your fingers and then turning it round and scrunching it up into these little teeny balls of tissue paper. Okay, so then we're going to get our glue and we're going to pop each of these flowers on our little strip of paper. So just a tiny little bit of glue each time. And this can be PVA, you can do it Pritt stick as well. And I've just got a little kind of fabric-y multi-purpose glue here. So just scrunch it up, nice and small, and then just stick it onto your glue. There we go. So then you should have your paper strip with your 3 flowers or however many you want to fit on attached to it. Okay, so we're just going to set that to the side to dry, and we're going to make Frida's painting palette, because what are you without the tools of your trade? So here we go. So we're just going to, well actually to begin with we can just draw out a painting palette shape. So you can just take your pen and you can draw something like so. You see that shape? And then we're going to cut it out. And once again, remember, nice and small, because these are like miniature figures. So that's our little paint palette shape. So then we're going to add some bits of paint on it. So you can either just get some poster paints and just paint little splodges on, which will look great, or if you want to do it quickly like I'm going to do it, you can just get your felt tips and do some little splodges of paint. So there we go, and have a nice blue and a good bit of pink and a little bit green. Ooh, my green pen's running out. You can tell it's my favourite. And a bit of red-y orange. There we go. So that's our wee palette ready to be attached. So going back to the headband, we are going to get our Frida and attach it. Another thing that we haven't done is if you want to add like necklaces or jewellery or things like that, you can see on here that we've just, all we did for that was get a little pen and just draw some dots around her neck. And it makes it look like she's got a beautiful piece of jewellery on. There we go. Also, to make her shawl look a bit more 3D, I've drawn some sort of creases on it, which again you can do with just a black pen. You can just draw onto your fabric to make the shawl look all creased and sort of do some dark shadows here. Okay, so time to attach her headband. So just with your glue, or you can do it with your double-sided tape as well, but I find glue works a wee bit better for this because you're less likely to notice it. You're just going to get your headband and put a bit of glue on the back of it. And then we're going to attach it around her head. So this is a wee bit fiddly. Just take your time. So you just pop it on to the top of her head and then wind the band. Ooh, oh dear, I've put too much glue on and it's broken, but we can salvage it. Wind the band round the back of her head. There we go. So yeah, don't do a me and try not to put too much glue on. And there we go. So we've got her little headband on. So finally, we just need to attach her palette. So for the palette, we just can get some of our double-sided tape and attach it nice and easy. So just pop a bit on the back of the palette and peel off the back. There we go. And there we go. So we've got her palette attached to her. So for Malala, we've used basically the exact same process of just wrapping the peg in some material. And on this material, I've drawn a little kind of florally pattern with our felt tips. And then we've just added some embroidery thread for hair and drawn a wee face, added a shawl, and added, for this, because Malala is campaigns on education for girls, we've just added a little workbook. So there you go, that's just bits of paper folded up and attached. So that's how you make your little Inspiring Women peg dolls. So I hope you have fun doing it, and we'd absolutely love to see who you choose to make. Who are the women that inspire you and you think are amazing? So it could just be your mum or your gran or your sister. So yeah, send us some wee pictures of any of the women you make. And if you'd like a pack of materials for the next 4 weeks of classes, please pop along to our shop. The hub is open 12 till 2 on a Saturday for pick up of materials bags, and they will have all the materials in you need. And we will see you next week, where we'll be doing a Mother's Day activity. Bye guys.